Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, once again. Myself, Hamar, I am MD CEO of Modefin. I cordially invite all of you to our Boardroom Talk 2021 first session. Before we start our session very actively, I would like to set up some ground rules for the benefit of all of us. Kindly mute your mic so that we don't get any disturbances. And you might get some questions or you may need to ask some clarification. So kindly type your questions, ask your clarifications in the chat window. Our team will be monitoring it and we pick up those questions at appropriate time and we try to answer it, both myself and the host and the chief guest. And if we are not able to answer your question for the time and other reasons, so we'll definitely come back to you. So these are some of the guidelines I would like to set before we proceed with the actual session. Ladies and gentlemen, today our chief guest is Mr. Dorji Kodin. He is Chief Executive Officer, Bank of Bhutan, a very prominent banker in the Kingdom of Bhutan. And before I give you more introduction about the Bank of Bhutan, I would like to give a small introduction about Kingdom of Bhutan. So I'm not sure how many of you are, aware of Kingdom of Bhutan. So a quite introduction about it. A specific input about Bhutan is that it's the only country in the world which has a carbon negative imprint, which has been appreciated by the various world bodies like United Nations, World Bank, other various prominent organizations. And second thing is that you all know that the most of the country's economic success is measured based on the GDP, called as gross domestic product, right? But whereas in Bhutan, it's not GDP; it's called Gross National Happiness Index. So they call it the GNH. So His Majesty was, very particular that the happiness and the well-being of the citizens cannot be measured on, the dollars what they're earning. Rather, he would like to give a importance to the well-being and welfare and the, so happiness of the people. So that's their model principle, so which has been, claimed by the United Nations chapter as well. And as a Bhutan policy, they distance themselves from GDP and they prominently measure on a gross national happiness index. And those are the two peculiar inputs I would like to give you on Bhutan. It's a landlocked country bordering China and India and Nepal, you know, and it's a very small country with a lot of potential for tourism and manufacturing activities, service sector, etc. And which has a population of around 800,000 people, if I'm not wrong. So less than a million, I would say. So in a nutshell. So it's a short bio of the Bhutan. And there are a lot of banks. Recently, they privatized the banking sector, and I would say 5 to 6 commercial banks being actually present in Bhutan nowadays. But earlier, till 1997, it was only Bank of Bhutan, which is a prominent bank in Bhutan. So that's the big background about Bhutan. And the Royal Monetary Authority is the regulator of Bhutan, like Central Bank of Bhutan. So that's the brief of Bhutan. And Mr. Dorji, did I miss anything here today? You need to unmute, I guess, Mr.
Yeah,
Dorji.
sorry. I think I have muted my mic.
Uh,
Anyway, good afternoon and thank you so much, Mr. Amar. Nothing much to mention since you are still in the introduction the page. So
right.
probably I think we will proceed.
Sure, sure. Thank you very much. So, I personally visited Bhutan many times, to meet our client Bank of Bhutan, T Bank, and other clients as well, and also with the family for vacation. So, I would say I liked it very much. From the day you land in the country, you see the difference in the air quality, the atmosphere, other things. For sure, you can make a difference of it. And if any of you not been to Bhutan so far, I think it's the time to pack your bags now. Is what I would say. Right. So that's on the Bhutan. And sorry for the disturbance. And a brief background about Bank of Bhutan. That's where Mr. Dorji Kadin comes as a chief executive officer. So Most of the time Bank of Bhutan is considered as central bank of Bhutan, so until 1997, until 1982 or 85, the Royal Monetary Authority was established. Bank of Bhutan was considered as a central bank of Bhutan, and also the commercial bank, like a commercial bank in the Bhutan. And until 1997, Bank of Bhutan is only the largest bank and only the banking institution in Bhutan, right? And I think after 1997, they privatized. We can see a lot of commercial banks being active nowadays in Bhutan. We see Tashi Bank from one of the prominent business family from Tashi Group, and also we see Druk PNB, which is a joint venture between the Punjab National Bank in India and the Druk Holdings in Bhutan. We also see Bhutan Development Bank, and we also see Bhutan National Bank. So these are the commercial banks I would say, and no doubt Bank of Bhutan being from the beginning, they are the largest bank. They enjoy the largest customer share in Bhutan, and also they enjoy the largest branch network in the Bhutan. And they are the first to introduce a digital banking services in 2015, if I'm not wrong, under the brand name Mbob. And also they envisage that brick and mortar is not a way forward, and they are the first people in the Bhutan to launch agency banking services as well. So the idea of launching agency banking services is to ensure that the service of the banks are being delivered to the doorsteps of the people living in tier 2, tier 3 cities without the need for expanding the branch network. These are some of the initiatives Bank of Bhutan has taken, in the recent past, and that's when we connected with the Bank of Bhutan as well. So I would say the journey will be impressive so far, and most of you may be thinking that for such a small country with a population less than a million people, and in a million also, if you see the bankable population, it could be close to half a million. So with a half a million bankable population potential, what digitization we are talking about or what digital payments we will be talking about is could be the common question any of you may be thinking. But I would say, ladies and gentlemen, it's a wrong way of thinking it. So Bhutan is the example, I would say, perfect example, to prove to the world that irrespective of the size of the country, if any institution or any organization launches a proper digital banking product, there is always a uptake and there is always a success behind it. And the numbers, what we talk, in the subsequent slide, will reveal the details to you. So in a nutshell, we were looking at the Bhutan and we were talking to Royal Monetary Authority, and other industry leaders also. We came to know that, we all know that during the pandemic, the digitization has been accelerated. There's no doubt about it, So people are locked, they don't want to go to the places, and but yes, services has to be availed and the life has to move on, right? So obviously, digitization is one of the way forward. And no doubt the pandemic has accelerated it. But if you look at Bhutan as a specific example, in the first 31 days of during the lockdown, the transaction rate on the digital banking has gone many folds. 92% of the payments happened in Bhutan are through digital platform, and in that the majority share is to the mobile banking applications. Followed by the QR payments, which is around 5 to 6%, and then followed by the wallet transactions, which is around 2 to 2.5%. So that's how the utilization of the digital services during the lockdown, right? And it only proves that people are getting adapted to the new changes, and it's only going to increase and stick on to the same game. And at the same time, when the people has taken a cautious survey about why they are using these things, etc., so most of the people who they onboarded, they made it very clear that so this is becoming very convenient. Knowingly unknowingly, they just started using these services. Now they all admit that this is becoming very convenient and they would like to stick on to these services even if there is no pandemic going forward. So that's the feedback we are receiving from the market, which is very impressive if you ask me as an individual. And I am sure that Bank of Bhutan being the largest bank, so they will be enjoying the lot of benefits, and the majority of the digitalization chunk may be going through the MBOB platform itself, without any doubt. So that's where we are. And if you look at the country specific, so bank presence and the banking network as such, so in our next slide, you can see that one. So As I said, there are five commercial banks, and so these are the highlights of the banking infrastructure available in Bhutan. So they have around close to 300 ATMs. So around 1,000 POS machines have been issued, and around five mobile banking applications are already in the market. And around close to 200 subscribers are registered on those mobile apps, and the majority of them belongs to Bank of Bhutan. So there are two e-money issuers, namely Tasishel and also Bhutan Telecom, who are operating the wallets in the country with around 50 to 60,000 subscribers on that one. And also they have around e-commerce merchants, around 16 e-commerce merchant, around 16 domestic merchants, around 300 international merchants available. So this is in a nutshell the banking infrastructure. But even me telling as outsider, this is where I would like to pause for a moment. I would like to invite our honorable guest, Mr. Dorji Kodin, and hear from him about the banking infrastructure available in Bhutan and what is the banking landscape looks like, in the future. So, Mr. Dorji, if you can spell few words about, the existing banking infrastructure of Bhutan and the roadmap of banking infrastructure of Bhutan, in terms of the new innovations happening and the new initiatives taken by the policy regulators, etc. If you can give some insights about that, it will be wonderful for our audience as well.
Thank you, Mr. Amar, and also I'd like to thank the whole MFS team for inviting me here as the guest to participate in this talk. Well, I'm not sure whether I would to add any value in terms of giving insights, but I'm definitely happy and excited to be part of the team to at least share the experiences that we have
Hmm.
and then we have been having in Bhutan.
Okay.
In terms of the banking landscape, like you already mentioned, Bhutan being a very small country, I think five commercial banks is quite a lot of number. It may seem.
Very
Yet,
true.
I think it looks like we have enough market from the point of view of sustaining the business in the market.
Hmm.
Uh, Overall, in terms of the digital infrastructure, I think the digitization started for Bank of Bhutan initially in 2008 when we first introduced the core banking system, which
Hmm.
is the main platform to write on all the digital initiatives that we take. And since then, we have been moving forward well. And 2015 was the landmark for us, and particularly because we uh, tried to get into mobile banking platform in partnership with Modfin server. And particularly, I'm happy here because I think we didn't make a mistake while selecting the partners. And again, here I'd like to thank MFS for partnering with Bank of Bhutan. And you can see the result as of now. From 2015, of course, people were quite reluctant in terms of using mobile banking during then because they were in the first place not very comfortable and not feeling secure to do transactions through mobile banking. And 5 years down the line, we can the numbers tell us a lot.
True.
In it, from nowhere, we have reached to about 200,000 mobile banking MBOB users. So that itself tells us a lot in terms of how I think adaptive the people have become in the country, and now people are picking up, like you mentioned, especially during the lockdown. It was a huge benefit to us
Hmm.
uh, because people do not have to worry about going physically to the branches during this situation, and then they could do all the banking transactions, basically the basic banking like fund transfer, then in terms of even remittance also, some part we have automated through mobile banking, and then people could initiate their transactions through these. And in terms of, I think adapting to this new digital world, I think Bhutanese are not really backward people, because I think they have learned the benefits and then they are now trying to get adapted to this new technology.
Okay.
It is taking time for us to convince the people, but through more awareness, through the more convincing in terms of the security, in terms of the convenience, in terms of the reliability, we
Mhm.
could get our people onboarded to use the mobile banking application in the 5 years down the line quite a lot. And that
Okay.
has benefited the country as well as the bank itself in lot of ways. And in terms of regulation also, I think our regulators have been very supportive in terms of trying to support the digital initiatives, because everybody here understands now the benefit of going digital. And
Hmm.
in fact, the government has already initiated the national digital identity
Mhm.
across the country, which could again bring in more benefits in terms of digitization. Uh,
Mhm.
because as of now, we are not able to think of onboarding our clients digitally, because we have to abide by the compliance requirements in terms of acquiring the KYCs. And
True. Mhm.
so these are the challenges. Yet, I think in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the regulation, in terms of readiness, I think the Bhutan is adopting quite well overall.
Which is very good to hear, And also, what would be the future of the banking operations looks like, Dorji, in the context of, there are a lot of innovations happening, right? People are talking about open APIs, or what do you say, that the microservices being comes into the picture. Open APIs enables the banks to exchange information in real time, and using the BI and other things in the banking industry. So you see some directions taken in towards that by the Royal Monetary Authority or Bank of Bhutan for that matter.
Definitely, Amar. Well, in terms of future of banking, what I personally see is I think probably we may not need the branch offices across, because
Mhm.
everything is going to be digitized with the initiative from the government. And being a small country, I think this seems quite doable also.
Mhm.
Population of less than 800,000, like you mentioned. To be specific, we have about close to 750,000 people only. And
Okay.
from that, banking population is about 60 to 70%, which is quite low. And based on this, I think going digital totally is also not a real challenge for the country.
So,
And in terms of like I think the main challenge here we see as of now is onboarding the illiterate clients. And for that, probably we may have to think of something else,
mhm.
because we have quite a huge chunk of not really illiterate, but maybe semi illiterate,
Okay. Hmm.
a section of people where they are not able to really use the mobile phones to do the banking transactions. So
Okay.
that is one of the challenges. And I'm sure with some intervention we could to maybe try to onboard these people as well in future.
Sure. So it makes sense, So makes sense. So, and also nowadays, I would say, Dorji, the technology is very much matured, so there are a lot of tools which we can talk in the later part of this presentation, which will help you to digitally onboard the customers, so that they don't need to come to the branch at all. And I am talking about this with respect to the some of the regulations passed by few countries like the Kenya, if you look at it, or Nigeria, if you look at it, and Ghana. I'm not very sure, but I think there was a consultation happening in Ghana. And if you look at India as well, for that matter, so on Canada for that matter, right? And Finland for that matter, Singapore for that matter. So these are some of the markets and regulators, so they already passed the regulation saying that the eKYC or digital KYC is accepted now nowadays, and the people don't need to come to the branches to open their accounts, so they don't need to submit the physical documents, so that regulation is being done already in these countries, at least which I quoted. And See, if you have a unique citizen identification, like in India we call it Aadhaar, so such kind of a tools, then it becomes much easier. But the most of the countries, at least in Nigeria, Ghana, or Kenya, what we are doing is that even though they, in the absence of missing that single unique citizen identification, there are various methods. We are making banks to make use of it and to onboard the digitally also. So which is happening. So for sure, I highly recommend that Bank of Bhutan to look into the direction, and sooner the later Bhutan also should come into the direction, so that it is only benefit to the customers. So that's what I would say, my take. And also, Dorji, what I noticed is that again during the lockdown, when you took a deep study and look into the reports available in the public domain as well, we realized that the digital adaptation and the transactions going the share of the transactions and the digital has significantly increased. So when we are compare the data with 2018, which is pre 2 years pandemic, and now in 2020, in 2018, so the total transactions processed through digital platforms was only 50%, close to, you know and the closest competitor was the card based transactions, which stood at 43%, and physical cash was used around 6%, and wallets are the another things around 1%, basically. So that's where it is. So when you say digital platforms, so ladies and gentlemen, for your information, these are the things comprising the QR codes and the mobile apps. That's what we mean here. And if you look at in 2020, the share of digital platforms has gone to 76%, which is significant improvement. And also that card-based transactions has lowered to 22% from 43%, so a drop in more than 50%, which is very impressive, I would say, which is very impressive. And which only means that more and more Bhutanese are accepting the digital payments, and they are making it as a way of their life. So that's what we can infer from this numbers. And also, Mr. Dorji, I would like to understand from you, the card-based transactions has gone down significantly. Is it because that now we see a lot of QR-based payments getting prominently accepted in Bhutan?
Exactly, Mr. Amar. I think what we are trying to do is because there are lots of benefits if we try to promote. I think cardless payments or digital payments. So
Mm,
it has a benefit in terms of less number of uh, people visiting people to the branches. That
mm,
is one
mm,
very clear benefit, and that's why seeing these benefits, we have been trying to promote
mm,
uh, to accept QR payments or
mm,
digital mobile payments across the merchants, and
mm,
we've done quite a lot. I think because of that, in fact, we started this drive since 2019, and because of that, I think the share of this uh, electron digital payment has maybe increased from 50 to
one of-
70%
mm,
as
okay.
shown here.
Mm,
Probably this could be the reason. The other thing is because we haven't really promoted POS related payments in most of the merchants,
mm,
particularly because there are so many challenges. To name few, one is in terms of network connectivity.
mm,
Sometimes the network is not really reliable here, so probably the transaction success rate is not really good. So we've been trying to purposely not to promote these POS related transactions. So,
mm.
and we've been trying to promote basically in effect the mobile payments across the merchants.
Okay. Mm. Which is
So these could be the reasons why I think this has really increased or improved drastically.
understood. It makes sense as well. And when compared to the cost which we need to include for enabling the card-based payments or creating a card infrastructure, I would say the QR-based infrastructure is much cheaper and economical.
Exactly, Amar, Mr. Amar. I think I forgot to mention this. In terms of cost efficiency, also it is very efficient. We just have to print one QR,
Mm,
print in a small paper and then distribute to the merchants, which is in terms of cost is very minimal, negligible, I would say. And that's why we have been trying to promote this across the merchants. If possible, we are trying to educate now all the merchants to accept payments through QR.
Hmm. Which is good, which is fantastic, I would say. Fantastic. And how is the response from the merchants for these kind of services? You see any challenges in onboarding the merchants? For the benefit of our audience, maybe you can spill out some information.
Yes, yes, definitely, because in every business you do, there is bound to be some challenges anyway. One particular challenge that we are facing is in terms of the risks that they have to take.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, People still feel that when people make payments using mobile, they feel that that may not be accurate, or maybe they may not get the money that they are supposed to get.
Mm-hmm.
So that is always there in terms of security risks. And the other is in terms of the, again, it goes back to the education level of the merchants.
Mm-hmm.
For big and reasonable sized merchants, we are okay, because I think we can see people, educated people managing the businesses. But for small merchants like small groceries, vegetable shops, and all those places, it
Mm-hmm.
is really a challenge for us to convince these people, because one, it is I think people do not have access to mobile banking because they are illiterate, because we are not able to extend mobile banking services to our illiterate section of the people
Mm-hmm.
yet. And it's a major challenge for us, yet we are trying to do something, and I'm sure MFS would help us in terms of getting this resolved too very soon. With your
Definitely.
support, I'm sure
Mm.
we can try to manage this well. And uh, I think these are the main two challenges that we are facing just now, but definitely we can overcome slowly.
Definitely. So it may not be appropriate, Dorji, if I can give the solutions here, because that's not the purpose of this one.
Yes,
Maybe
yes.
we can engage separately on that one, but definitely, I made a note of it, right? That's one thing. And also, Mr. Dorji, what I realized in Bhutan is that when we compare the operations between a mobile wallet and mobile banking, so mobile banking is widely accepted and is prominently in use, whereas mobile wallets is not that popular in Bhutan. I mean, the if you look at the the statistics on the screen, on the right side you see, through mobile banking, so they are able to onboard around 62,600 new subscribers, so during the lockdown. But at the same time, on mobile wallet, it was only close to 15,000, so it's a five times, nearly four times jump on the mobile if you look at it. So, I mean, why the banking is so popular in Bhutan than the mobile wallets? Because in other countries, at least our experience is that they're all on competition, on par, or maybe wallets will be doing much better, So, but in Bhutan, is the trend is reverse. So, what do you think the reason could be?
That's very interesting observation you have made, Mr. Amar, and thank you for pointing this. I think the main reason why this is happening is just because we started mobile banking a long time back.
Hmm.
We started mobile banking in 2015,
Hmm.
whereas wallet services started coming in just recently, as early as 2018, if I'm correct.
So, you are 3 years ahead of the game.
Yes, yes. I think that could be the main reason why people are, I think, uh, used to using mobile banking rather than mobile wallet,
Mm.
because wallet, still people are not really aware of how this works, and then probably there is a lot to do in terms of creating awareness in terms of using mobile wallet.
Mm-hmm.
And number two reason is because mobile banking is provided by five banks, and all the five commercial banks, whereas wallet services are provided just by two telcos. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, UB has planned to relaunch our wallet service,
Mm-hmm.
and from there we are hopeful that we may be able to target quite a lot and get a lot of customers to use mobile wallet, because in terms of marketing, in terms of creating awareness also, I think BOB being the largest bank, the biggest bank, we have quite a better reach to our clients. And
Mhm.
and in terms of creating awareness also, I think we would be doing much more justice to our people than the telcos. So that could be the reason why I think the mobile wallet users are increasing, and then not the wallets.
Okay, okay. And an interesting question here is, as a bank, are you spending anything on the promoting your mBob application, mobile banking application, or it's just a word of mouth which is happening?
It's a mix, and the mix of the both, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because in terms of promotion, we are doing quite aggressively. We even try to send our friends across the field to educate our clients and merchants on how to use mobile banking, and
Wow.
also how to use agency banking itself, even agency banking.
Mm-hmm.
And even in terms of acquiring merchants, we try to send our people across the street to see if we can convince people to use mobile banking as the payment mode, rather than taking cash, physical cash,
Okay.
while doing the business. So marketing, and even in terms of uh, other marketing avenues also, we are trying to reach our clients through so many channels. Print
Mhm.
media, we try to promote through print media, through the social sites like Facebook and all, Twitter, and all those popular sites.
Mhm.
And in terms of reach, I think uh, we are proud to say that we are doing great in these areas. And word of mouth, yes, sometimes even like, for example, we introduce or value add a small service or feature in mobile app, and probably if our people are not aware, we try to create awareness through our uh, internal employees, to our people, so that they know how to use the functionalities well.
Interesting. And
So,
when
so it's basically a mix of both.
okay. Interesting. And are they giving any monetary benefits to you, the existing users, Mr. Dorji, to retain the customers on the platform, or like in other words, any loyalty is being rewarded or recognized by the customers for them to keep motivated to be in the platform?
Well, in this front, just now, as of now, we try to motivate people, our clients, in terms of usage, in terms of getting new clients onboarded through different incentives. And then we do definitely try to reward our clients
Okay,
in terms for using more of the mobile banking payment system. Uh,
understood.
and we also, in terms of the loyalty reward system, we are yet to introduce, but we have a plan to do that soon also.
Very good. Very good to hear that one. And I would say, Dorji, that would be a game changer also, because we have seen most of banks, recognizing their existing loyal customers, awarding them with some incentives, or not necessarily as a monetary benefit, in whatever the form which is possible for a bank, so other things. So that will always motivate the people to come back to you and do the transaction again and again. So I think that is one thing which will be interesting to see, coming from Bank of Bhutan or any other bank in Bhutan as well, right? At the same time, I also wanted to, draw your attention, Mr. Dorji. If you look at it, during this last pandemic period, we are also tracking how the transactions are happening on the mobile banking alone. So if you look at it, so during the second lockdown, closely 800,000 transactions are happening on a mobile platforms. So that means all the five banks put together was doing these many transactions only on mobile platforms. So which is, considering the fact that the total bankable population is not even half a million in Bhutan. But if you look at the number of transactions happening on mobile, is more than 800,000. So which is very impressive growth, I would say. And this is the reason I was telling, Bhutan is now are getting hooked to the digital payments, so. And also, if you look at our the data on the next screen, so which clearly shows the QR payments are much ahead of the card based payments or the any other online payments. So I mean, the reasons, I think last time also you explained that QR payments brings the convenient number one and the economic cost number second, and also the secure and cost effective mode. So no doubt why QR payments are growing. But one question I wanted to ask you here, Mr. Dorji, you have any option of offering mbob as a payment gateway as well? So now that online payments are happening increasingly in Bhutan as well, you have any plans of offering mbob as a payment gateway as an alternative to your traditional gateways like Visa, Mastercard, or any other things?
Yes, Mr. Ahmad, definitely we have that plan also in place. And
Mhm.
recently, I would like to, I think, express here that we did a study on how BOB should strategize or plan for digitizing the whole banking process
Mhm.
itself. And then we have been trying to think if we should go ahead in terms of value addition to the existing infrastructure, or should we now try to go totally as a new bank, which means a digital bank, and then see how we can like benefit by going totally a new bank.
Okay.
So those were the thoughts that we have in mind also. In terms of payment gateway, yes, definitely. We have been trying to now to facilitate this because so many clients are now aware of the benefits of providing these payment gateway services
Mhm.
in terms of facilitating the payments easily. So and even our regulator, they are also very much aware of these challenges faced by our, especially the big tourist operators, and also the foreign travelers to Bhutan. And this is one area where we have been working, and then we hope to get it soon done through MBOB as well. As of now, we don't have, but we definitely would. We are definitely exploring to have this feature.
Interesting. So we look forward to see that feature very soon in Bhutan, and probably if it happens in Bhutan, maybe Bank of Bhutan could be the first, or maybe other bank, I don't know. So which is very interesting to see that from coming from Bhutan. And also, Mr. Dorji, I would like to ask you, how is the regulator helping you guys in accelerating your digital payments? So I'm sure that the regulator is plays an important role, in accelerating the digitization in the banking industry. We are very curious to know how, in Bhutan, regulator is helping you to accelerate this payment industry.
I think it's a very good question because regulator has always been supportive because number one, it's benefiting the country. Number two, it is benefiting the people of the country in so
Mhm.
many ways. And then they have been very supportive. Of course, in terms of digital thoughts, they were not really aware of the benefits in the initial years. Say when we introduced in 2015, there were no regulations, and I'm sure you are very much aware of that as well
Yes.
because
Mm.
started the mobile banking together. And
Right.
now, with the recent digitization across the world, I
Mm.
think regulators are also getting more aware of the challenges
Mm.
uh, that they may face in terms of monitoring, in terms of security, in terms of other issues. And then
Mm.
they are now coping up very well, and then they have been very supportive. And
Mhm.
personally, the present governor, he is really pushing every bank to move towards digitization.
Mhm. Very
And
good. Very interesting. And
they
Dorji, you see, sorry, you have to say something?
Yeah, and they are also, I think, trying to come up with the good regulations or maybe a conducive regulation to support the digital banking in Bhutan.
Mhm.
So that way, I think they are okay now.
Okay, interesting. And Dorji, what is the regulator's thought process on digital onboarding or eKYC other things? So other day I was talking to some of your colleagues in the bank to understand, and they were telling that while the bank wanted to implement this product, but they were waiting for the guidelines or the procedures from the RMA. So I'm curious to understand what is RMA's outlook on the eKYC or digital onboarding.
As of now, they haven't not thought on digital onboarding guidelines, but I'm sure they are working on this too. Because recently I got few queries from RMA and the regulator on the benefits of having guidelines.
Mhm.
So we shared our concerns and we shared our ideas also on how we should go ahead about this. But
Mm.
I was also in the meantime suggesting maybe because we like I mentioned earlier, we already started national digital identity
Right.
uh, project, which
Mm.
is going to help us in terms of I think digitizing the whole services in the country, basically from medical to whatever the public services.
Mm.
And once we have the national ID system in the country.
Mhm.
So I was also telling them that maybe if we start eKYC just now, probably it may be a duplication for the banks.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought maybe if we can wait for another 1 year or so till the national ID system is
Create.
done,
Mm.
probably that would help us to onboard our clients in a much faster and better way than we are planning to do. So that
Understood. Mm.
so
Okay. So it's like a chicken and egg situation, So if you ask me, so well, yes, without a guidelines or regulation in place, you cannot launch these products, which is the mandatory across the globe, number one. Number second, at the same time, if you wait to launch these things for next 1 year or 2 years, but imagine a situation where you wanted to give some grants or some other benefits to be disbursed on your digital banking platform to someone up country, who don't have a proper KYC details, everything. So the challenges are, how do you onboard them, and then how do you service them, right? And this may not be applicable to Bhutan. I really don't know, but I'm just giving an hypothetical example. So because of these things, it's all depends on what is the priority for a bank. If the priority for a bank is that there's a larger chunk of unbanked population for which the service is important, then probably we have to go ahead and find a way, technology way, to handle the situation, because that's what happening in Myanmar. So if you look at it, the United Nations Food Program, so use it to distribute close to $2 million worth of grant to the people living in Myanmar every month. This I'm talking about 2019, 18 and 19, right? So every month. So the problem there is that so most of the beneficiaries there don't have the proper KYC documents and other things. They are like a urban migrants. They belongs to Myanmar. They're Myanmar citizens, but their residence, their citizenship is Myanmar, but their residence, proper house, everything is in up country. So they all migrate to the urban places for a livelihood and other things, right? So they're like this called their urban migrants. And but with the earning potential was so low, so United Nations has to step in to save them from the starvation and other things and give them a helping hand. And the concept of food program is that they used to distribute the food grains. Then the United Nations realized that so it's not the right way to distribute the food grains, because it's a matter of self-respect and esteem for everyone. Rather than giving a food grains, they thought that let's give them the cash in their hand, so they know how to make use of this cash. Maybe they may not buy the food grains worth of the complete money. They might save some money for a later use and other things also. That way they are better equipped to fight the situation. So that's when United Nations actually called for a tenders, and the technology fintech companies to come and come forward to give a solution. and this is one thing we propose to them as well, so that's why I said it's all about the needs of the bank and the demands of the situation, how it demands. So otherwise we have to wait and watch. There's no other go. As the regulator is the ultimate boss in any industry, right? We cannot cross the red line. So
Yes.
that's where we are. So which is interesting to hear from you. So apart from these digital payments and the digital onboarding, so how is the regulatory outlook overall for a banking industry? Is it a positive? Is it a conservative? So how do you look at it?
Uh, Overall, I think our finance sector is highly regulated
Hmm.
because there are so many regulations put in place to see that the banks do not go into trouble.
Hmm.
And we are, I think, Bhutan's banking sector is, I would say, from basically like compared if we compare to our neighbor like India, India banking sector, I think ours seems to be more regulated than and the Indian banking sector
Which is
in
good to
terms
hear.
in terms of NPL management, in terms of risk weights, in terms of so many areas, and
Mm.
which I would say is a positive thing to take note of, because I think whatever said and done, I think the role of the central bank is to see that the banks do not fail, and we never know now with this pandemic, all the banks are not doing well, and then if our regulations were not good enough, then probably we may be in very big and deep trouble by now.
True,
But
true, very true.
we
Mm.
are sustaining as of now, so which is good for the country.
Oh, thank you, which is good to hear. And now coming back to our main topic of, so the digital channels, digital banking. Mr. Dorji, no doubt that you are the man who launched MBOB while you were in the Bank of Bhutan. So I still remember that when we first met in 2015, for the discussions on mobile apps and other things. So a couple of the lengthy discussions we had in the boardroom, how to do, what features, etc. I still remember. So, so no doubt that the whole country knows you are the person behind launching MBOB at Bank of Bhutan, and so no doubt about it. So first and foremost, congratulations for the job well done, at the Bank of Bhutan. And also I would like to ask you, what was your main reason to launch this MBOB as an application? So you were even 2015 when we first met, and you are very vocal about launching this application, so going to the market, what to launch, what not to launch, all those things you are very crystallized and you are very clear about it. So, what was your main focus to launch this application? What was your motto, if we can understand?
Thank you, Mr. Amar. I think it will not be fair for me to take all the credit. I was just in the front during that. At the back
Like
end,
that.
so many people uh, doing the actual work,
Yes,
and
which is
pro-
true. Yeah.
yeah, I was just in the front to see if this is going to benefit the country, if this is going to benefit the bank, if
Mm,
this is going to benefit the people in the country,
mm,
and that was what I think really made us uh, think that okay, if this is going to be beneficial to the country as a whole, to the people of Bhutan, and to the bank, why not pursue this? And
mhm,
overall, during that, by then, I think mobile banking was getting very popular across the world, and
mm,
people were really like picking up, and then maybe in some countries they may have reached even the peak stage where or maturity stage in terms of mobile banking,
mm,
whereas in Bhutan we didn't yet start then. And because of these benefits, we thought that why can't we try and
mm,
then give it a try, so that maybe like it is going to be more beneficial than the cost that we have to pay to, of course, you,
mm,
MFS.
mm.
And that was what I think in terms of benefits, we could see lots of benefits, and then that those were the main drivers for us to drive uh,
Okay.
for this mobile banking app then. And of course, there was at the back of me always the CEO who always used to push us.
Yeah,
And he was one person who really tried pushing us to get this done. And
exactly.
we
Mm,
were having a very difficult time in terms of getting the right partner.
yeah.
And that's how I think we came across to MFS. And then we never regretted after that, because
Oh,
the support that you have extended, the level of commitment that you have shown to taking this product or the new mobile banking services in the country has been tremendous.
mhm.
And we really appreciate MFS for this support.
Oh,
Where
thank you very much.
because
Mm.
of the support, and then I think we should be grateful to MFS as well. Other
Oh,
than my the back end team who have been really working hard to get this done.
true, true, very true. So credit must go to the larger team at both Modfin and VOB side. So we happen to be the front face. That's it, as you rightly said. But Mr. Dorji, so today I am very impressed to notice the growth and the progress. So in a matter of almost 5 years, as we in the beginning also we said that the bankable population is only half a million in Bhutan. In that half a million, close to 200 plus customers are already on MBOB platform. That means the 50% of the bankable population are already working with the MBOB. So that means the MBOB is touching almost one in two people, 2%, who has a bank account, if you can say that. And also, I am surprised to note and hear from your colleagues that using MBOB application, and every day around 200 new accounts you are opening, new customers you are onboarding. So that means in a month you're adding around more than 5,000 new accounts into the platform, which is very good, impressive, for the kind of size what we are talking in Bhutan. And also, I am surprised to notice that every day on a QR payments, you are doing minimum 9,000 transactions every day. So, which is very interesting. So, what is the success behind all those things? Is there a particular strategy you guys adopted so that to increase these numbers, and how is it? Because there are a lot of new people available in the forum. So, for the benefit of our forum, I want you to spell out something, if it's not a secret.
Uh, it should not remain a secret because we are partners anyway, Mr. Amar,
Thank you.
and we never hide anything from you anyway. So
Thank you very much.
yeah, it's an open secret basically. Of course, we have been working. My team has been working from the back end to see how we can increase the number of people to avail mobile banking services of the bank through so many initiatives. One
Mhm.
particular initiative that they have taken during the lockdown is in terms of even before the lockdown is in terms of incentivizing the clients. Uh, the existing clients to onboard more people, and then if they can onboard more people, they are given some kind of attractive prices uh,
Okay.
to,
Mhm.
to to those people. So
Mm.
that was one of the reasons why I think that the number has been increasing. And number two, we I think uh, have been informally, not really formally, because we have been trying to encourage our people to take MBOP through social media sites as well, through Facebook, through Twitter, through other social media sites, and then those are the reasons I think why people are getting or availing MBOP services on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
And number three, formally, we have been trying to see how we can contact those non-MBOB users to get registered through emails, through calls as well, so that we are targeting 100%, but it looks like it is going to be a challenge. Like I
Mhm.
mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
we have quite a lot of numbers of customers who are not fully literate, and then it will be a challenge for us to achieve 100%.
Mhm.
So but at least we are targeting to onboard all the literate people in our MBOP mobile application.
Interesting.
So
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, uh, I think it is a combined effort of everybody in the bank basically. So we try to encourage through so many other means, and then we are doing quite a lot of work to encourage people to use mobile banking for so many benefits that they get.
Which is very good to hear from you, Mr. Doji, at the top line, top level. So it's a very motivating for everyone, I would say. And also, Mr. Doji, if you can see the numbers on my next screen, I am. It's a mind blowing. That's why I said in the beginning itself, so irrespective of the country size, how big or how small or how many people, if the digital banking solution is launched in a proper way with all the right mix of the services, features, etc., and the growth can never be wrong, so the sky is the limit. See, today on your mbob platform, so we are very happy to notice that, as I said, more than 200,000 plus customers, so around more than 10,000 merchants. You imagine all the five banks put together having a POS mission size of 1,000, not even 1,000 exactly. But you see here, we are talking about QR payments of QR codes of 10,644 to be precise, so that means in a low cost model, you can enable so many merchants to accept the digital payments, so that's very impressive. And if you look at it, an average number of transactions happening per day is close to 150,000 transactions per day, which is very good. And what is mind blowing is that you see the amount of money which is getting transacted on mbob, which is close to, if I can convert in dollars, is close to $20 million per day, so which is very impressive. Now I am thinking, Mr. Dorji, I we should revise our licensing model with Bank of Bhutan. You know, so you imagine a situation if all this $20 million was happening in the physical form, amount of operational headaches it brings, logistic headaches it brings for a bank, amount of manpower you need to have, branches you need to equip, the branch staff you need to have to handle this cash, etc. It will be tremendous, I would say. But today, on a simple platform, on a digital mode, your daily volumes of the transaction is close to $20 million. You have something to say here, Mr. Dorji?
Uh, Thank you, Mr. Amar. Yes, definitely. I think our people are really now fully aware of the benefits of doing banking through mobile apps, and that I think people are taking advantage of this now. And as a bank, I think we are also very happy to take note of this. Like,
Mhm.
for example, people transacting about 334 million INR, or in terms of dollar, it comes to about close to maybe around 5 million, I guess, Mr. Amar, if I'm to correct.
Okay.
5 million per day. But if you again check the recent statistics, I was going through the numbers that I get from my colleagues in the morning. It has doubled. In
Wow.
fact, it
Mhm.
has crossed 600 million,
Uh-huh.
which is about close to 10 million USD in a day.
Okay.
And that's a huge transaction.
It's a huge.
Yes, it is. It is, and it's quite alarming, and it's quite good to know these numbers. But on the other hand, I was also uh, getting uh, somewhat perplexed
Uh-huh.
by going through these numbers, because while people are getting, it looks like getting hooked in terms of using the mobile apps for banking transactions,
Okay.
yet we get so many people visiting branches on a
Uh-huh.
daily basis. And
Okay.
in fact, we see the increased number of people visiting our
Mm-hmm.
branches to do banking transactions. So
Mm-hmm.
the formula of that, I don't know, maybe our formula could be wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not able to analyze why people are visiting our branches, and then why it is increasing, in fact, instead of decreasing.
Okay.
So I'm not able to get any kind of formula to manage these numbers.
Understood. So Are there any study or reason you are able to find out why people are visiting the branches, Dorji? Is there any formal study or formal interaction happen in the branch level? Is there any data available for that one? Just for curious to understand.
Yes, yes, we do study on a continuous basis, and my team they are always behind the numbers when it comes to analyzing all these transactions.
Mhm.
And most of the transaction, I think the transactions happening across the branches are uh, basically deposits, number one, then
Number one.
remittance,
Mm-hmm.
and the loan applications where we are not able to do any kind of digital initiatives in that area. So
Okay.
probably we are also thinking now that it is time for us to digitize all these areas and then see how this is going to help the bank in terms of reducing the number of people visiting branches. Because if that can be done, maybe I think we can re-engage or redeploy, retrain our people to do other more productive things than doing the normal banking transactions, which doesn't add much value to the individual progress of our people also. So I
Very
think
true.
these
Very
are
true.
the ideas that we have in mind, but not sure when we can materialize all these things.
Okay. So that is just a suggestion from our side, based on the experience what we gained working with international clients as well. So one of the reason you said that, so in spite of so much of success on the MBOB, so still people are visiting your branches, and you said the primary reason for that one is the deposits, So our experience is that nowadays, with the maturity of the technology, the deposits and withdrawals can be pushed on to the agent locations as well. You already have a cardless withdrawals on ATMs, which is okay, but so having more ATMs is also cost. So, but having more agents is not that cost, So I can also see that on the MBOB platform, the total number of agents is only 600 plus, So I would say there is a potential to grow these agents, and maybe the best idea is that you have 10,000 merchants. You should convert all the merchants into your agents, so they can play a dual role. So immediately, your agent network becomes 10,000. And at the agent, at the merchant location, you offer your cash in, cash out. That means if some customer wanted to visit your branch and to deposit, you don't need to come to the branch all the time. You can just go to the, MBOB merchant wherever, and he can give the cash, and she or he can do the transaction on the mobile and give a deposit slip also if required, as a proof of that the money is being deposited, right? So all those things can be taken care. And these are the things which are happening in different markets, and all these things are powered by Modefin as well, in a secure and effective way. And I think I will ask my colleagues to touch base with you to see how this can be done. And recently, Time Bank, based out of South Africa, so they are coming to Singapore, Malaysia, and Vietnam to launch a digital bank. And one of their strategy for a cash and deposits and withdrawals is the same thing what I explained to you. And they selected Modfin as a technology provider to power this technology. So that is something we can pick it up. So that problem might solve your crowding the congesting at the branch levels. And the remittances, very soon, Modfin is launching a remittance corridor from Bhutan to India. So we are waiting for the regulatory approvals and and remaining things. And once that is done, so you can make use of that service on MBOB application as well. And the retail loans is like something that can be immediately taken care, and you should really look into that, and you should offer those services. So I would say once you offer these services on the MBOB, then the congestion can be reduced at the branch, and you can re-engage the branch staff to some different purpose, for the so that the more business happens at the bank is what I would say, honestly speaking. And uh, and probably we can engage on that further on that one. Okay, so on the same note, for the benefit of our forum members today, so these are the various services happening inside the MBOB application. If you look at it, the popular services are cardless withdrawals, fund transfers, QR payments, bill payments, ATM top up, etc. There are other host of services like tax payment, remittances, account opening and closure, loan inquiries, all those things. Apart from this, there are some more services, which is part of the MBOB. So, but these are the popular services for your benefit. So I would say, I think around close to maybe 30-40 services are already are made available in Mbob. And as totally rightly said that he is still thinking to automate the retail loans, remittances, and other things. And we hopefully we see those things coming to Bhutan market very soon. And last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, so Modefin is the company, as Dorji said, who power the MBOP technology, and we are working with Bank of Bhutan from 2015. We are the people who given that complete solution to Bank of Bhutan to launch the MBOP application, and we are also engaging with the Bank of Bhutan now to redistribute or redefine their wallet services called Charo. Right. Apart from that, we are engaging with Bank of Bhutan closely to do some other digital services as well, which includes the remittances and micro lending and group savings, etc. So a lot of things to come. We are a company based out of India with a global presence, around 140 plus people. We are presently serving 60 plus customers across 20 to 30 countries in various regions. So that's our strength. And there are a lot of unique and innovative things for the first time we did in the market, so which you can see on your screen as well for your benefit. And also, if I can recollect, we are the first to launch agency banking in Kenya. We are the first to launch multi-channel banking in Africa. We are the first to launch cordless withdrawals again in Africa. We are the first to launch, mobile-based account opening. Right? There are so many things which the list can go on. So that's the brief on Modefin.